Most people get scammed at a car dealership and leave a one-star review that says, "The coffee was cold and the salesman smelled like old ham." But Tiah McCreary, she didn't want a refund. She wanted the deed to the building. Welcome to the most legendary Uno reverse card in Ohio history. Today we're talking about how a woman legally seized her dealership's business name while they were busy trying to overcharge her for floor mats. But wait, before we get into the legal wizardry, look at the subscriber count on your screen. We are at 25 subscribers. Yes, 25. That's basically me, my mom, and 15 people who clicked subscribe by accident. If you don't hit that subscribe button in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to tell your boss you were watching YouTube instead of working. Don't risk it. Hit it now so we can get to 50 today. If you subscribe, you get 10 years of good karma. If you don't, well, I hope you like car dealership arbitration meetings. All right, let's get back to the chaos. How did she do it? So Tiah walks into Taylor Kia of Boardman. She's looking for a trade-in, but the dealership allegedly had other plans. They used a power of attorney to sign her name on things she hadn't agreed to. They basically treated her signature like a free samples tray at Costco. They just kept taking. They took her car, sold it, and left her stranded. Most of us would be sitting on the curb crying, but Tiah started reading the fine print. And she realized these business geniuses forgot to do one very important thing: pay their $25 registration fee for their business name, Evolution Logistics. They were so busy trying to take her car that they forgot to keep their own house in order. It's like someone trying to steal your shoes while their own pants are falling down. Probably wondering, how did Tiah even know the name was available? She didn't have a crystal ball, she just knew where to look. And honestly, you should know too, because you'd be shocked how many big companies forget to pay their bills. Here is the 60-second masterclass. You go to the Ohio Secretary of State website. Under Business Services, you click Business Name Search. Now here is the secret sauce. Most people just search for active businesses. But if you want to find a loophole like Tiah did, you select the filter for all or canceled. When the results pop up, look at the status column. If it says active, stay away. That's a legal minefield. If it says canceled or dead, that is a massive red flag for the company, but a green light for a genius. In Ohio, if a business is canceled by the Secretary of State, usually for not filing paperwork or paying taxes, they have a 2-year window to fix it. If they don't, that name is officially in the wild. It's like a digital abandoned house. Tiah saw that Evolution Logistics was sitting there, unprotected, and she moved in. Before you try this at home, remember, I'm not an attorney. I'm just a guy who likes seeing bullies lose. But if you want to be the smartest person in the room, start checking the status of the people trying to sell you things. You might just find out they don't even legally exist. This is where Tiah becomes a legend. On her way home from the dealership, she didn't call a tow truck. She called the Secretary of State. She paid the fee and officially registered Evolution Logistics as her business. Suddenly, the dealership was using her intellectual property. Every sign, every piece of letterhead, and every advertisement they had was now technically using a name owned by the woman they just tried to scam. She walked back into that dealership and told them, "You're using my name. You need to pay up or stop using it." Can you imagine the look on the manager's face? He thought he was dealing with a victim. He realized he was dealing with a CEO. Understand why Tiah had to go to these lengths. You have to understand the dark arts of the car industry. We've all heard the jokes about the sleazy car salesman, but some of these tactics are straight up illegal. One of the most common ones is called the yo-yo financing scam. Here's how it works. You sign the papers, they hand you the keys, and you drive home thinking you're a proud new car owner. But a week later, they call you back and say, "Oops, the financing fell through. You need to come back and sign a new contract with a much higher interest rate." They basically use your new car as a yo-yo to pull you back in and take more of your money. It's predatory, It's mean, and it's exactly the kind of environment where a dealership might forget to register their business name because they're too busy calculating their next move. Taylor Kia has had its fair share of headlines before this. When a dealership gets comfortable, they start thinking the rules don't apply to them. They think they can use a power of attorney to sign your life away without you noticing. But they made one fatal mistake. They did it to someone who actually reads the paperwork. Tiah McCreary didn't just find a loophole. She found a way to flip the entire industry on its head. And the arbitration trick they tried to play next? That was their last-ditch effort to keep their secrets from you. But the dealership didn't go down easy. They tried to use the arbitration trick. Most car contracts have a clause that says, if you have a problem, you can't go to a real judge. You have to go to a private arbitrator. Why? Because arbitration is secret. It happens in a private office, there's no public record, and big companies usually win there. They tried to force Tiah into this secret court to bury the scandal. They wanted to silence her before the rest of Ohio found out that their favorite dealership was legally owned by a customer. Tiah owns the name. She's got the leverage. You'd think the dealership would just apologize and hand over the keys, right? Not even close. Instead, they reached into their bag of tricks and pulled out the arbitration clause. If you've ever bought a car, a phone, or even signed up for a gym membership, you've probably signed one of these without knowing it. It's a tiny paragraph in your contract that says you waive your right to a trial. You aren't allowed to see a judge. You aren't allowed to have a jury. Instead, you go to a private arbitrator. It sounds official, but here's the reality. It happens behind closed doors. There's no public record. And statistically, the big guy wins way more often than the little guy because the companies are the ones paying the arbitration fees. It's a secret court designed to keep corporate scandals out of the news. Taylor Kia tried to force Tiah into this secret room. They knew if the case went to a public trial, the whole world would see how a customer legally snatched their brand. They wanted to bury the Evolution Logistics saga in a private office where nobody could hear Tiah speak. But this is where the 7th District Court of Appeals stepped in and basically said, "Nice try." Because Tiah's trademark win was separate from her car contract, they ruled the arbitration clause didn't apply. The secret court trap failed. Tiah just kicked the door open, and now the dealership has to face the music in the bright lights of a public courtroom. And that brings us to the massive update from the 7th District Court of Appeals. The judges looked at the case, McCreary v. Taylor Kia of Boardman. The dealership argued she had to go to arbitration, but the court ruled no, because the trademark issue with the name Evolution Logistics was separate from the car contract. The court ruled that Tiah has the right to a public trial. This is a death blow for the dealership. Now they have to stand in front of a jury of their own neighbors and explain themselves. They tried to hide in the shadows, but the law is bringing them into the light. Tiah McCreary proved that when you fight smart, you don't just win, you take the whole building. If you want to see the footage from the trial when it happens, you need to be part of this squad. We're at 25 subscribers, and our goal is 1,000 to keep bringing you these deep dives. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tell me in the comments, would you have the guts to buy your dealer's name? I'm Justice Daily, and remember, the truth always comes out. I'll see you in the next one. If you don't hit that subscribe button right now, I'm going to personally call your car insurance company and tell them you want to pay double. I'm kidding, mostly. But for real, we are trying to hit 50 subs by tonight so I can prove to my landlord that Justice Daily isn't just me talking to myself in a dark room. Hit that button, join the squad, and let's get this woman her justice.